Welcome, Amir John. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Thank
You are live and you are at the same time broadcasted to Artistic Expression Village. They have students and faculty sitting in Artistic Expression Village and they are listening to you. At the same time, we have Taha who is helping us broadcasting this and he's gonna share the questions in the chat after you finish talking about your experience and helping us understand the journey. Thank you very much. All yours.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you guys, and I will share my presentation with you shortly. But if anybody is watching and would like to ask questions, feel free to join in. It's always a good idea to get involved with things like this because if you're just an active participant, you're going to benefit more than just basically a non-active participant. Anyways, my name is Amir, and I am a full-time musician right now. I live in San Jose area. I'll share with you my presentation. I was born in Iran and I was raised in Iran until I finished high school and 2 years of music program in Tehran University, and then I moved here to United States. First, I lived in San Diego for 10 years, and I started going to college in San Diego, obviously like any young person. And I was very motivated to become a doctor at the time because when I was in Iran, I didn't get the opportunity to go to university for medicine, but I really had the passion for it, and my parents encouraged me to go to biology and become a doctor. But then I realized that it's not really the thing that I like to do. So I went to a lot of therapy and I started working on myself to really discover who I am and what I want to do with my life. And that was when I realized that I need to pursue my career in music and become a full-time musician and continue enlightening myself through music and helping other people play music or learn how to make their life better through music. It was a hard journey. I started at University of Santa Cruz, and I majored as a classical composition major there. And then I had to change my instrument from Persian instruments to a classical instrument. I picked clarinet because I liked the sound a lot. And it was a tough journey, but it was fun at the time. And then after my graduation, like any other person, I started looking for jobs, and you realize that there's not many jobs out there for musicians. So I had to go through a lot of different things in order to learn how to basically become successful and live in the Bay Area, especially in the Bay Area with all the expenses and lifestyle that we have here. It's not easy to be a musician. So I don't know who is going to be watching this or who is watching this right now. But if you are being supported by your parents at this moment, or if you have financial aid that is basically supporting you, don't think that it's going to be like that forever. As soon as you graduate and you go on your own, life is going to be a little bit different. So when I teach children, I usually tell them that you're going to face the real life, a real world, basically, where everything is going to be completely different from when you're going to school or when you're living with your parents. So today we're going to be talking about some of the things that I went through, and I had to learn them in the hard way by experience, because 20 years ago when I graduated from school, there weren't ChatGPT or Google out there for me to ask questions, or like information wasn't as available to me as it is to you guys at this moment. Well, let's say welcome to Farima. Welcome if you would like to turn on your camera, and if you would like to participate, that would be great. But then going through a lot of different things and talking to a lot of people brought me up to date basically with the industry and helped me become a more successful person basically. Um, as I said, my name is Amir, last name is Etemadzadeh. I am a Persian professional musician. I'm a composer, I'm an instructor, and I'm a performer. And in my free time, I also author pieces for the drums and instruments that I teach, and I also have a couple books out and a couple books that I'm finishing up. I specialize in Persian and Middle Eastern music, even though that's not the only thing that I do. I'm really interested in music from all over the world, from gamelan music to South Korean music to classical music to African music to South American music. It's all under one umbrella for me. So I don't basically only listen to one type of music, because it's like food. If you only eat like Persian food, it gets boring. But like if you try pho and sushi and different things, it becomes more interesting. So music is kind of like that for me. It's this food for my soul. I started playing music when I was 7, so I have been playing music for about 40, no, not 40, about 35 years or so. And it's been a great journey. Music has saved my life in many situations in my life. We went through a war in Iran after I was born, and if music wasn't there, I don't know what would have happened to me, because there was so much trauma and depression. I don't want to get into that. Ross, welcome. If you would like to turn on your camera and become part of this conversation, it would be great. So in this workshop, we're going to be talking about what I have learned and give you a more in-depth understanding of how to deal with the situations and pitfalls that a musician would basically face. If you want to be a professional musician in anything, you will have to deal with some situation. And these situations are, some of them are personal, some of them are professional, and some of them are financial, some of them are basically other aspects of a person's life. And we're going to be covering that. And by the end of this presentation, I hope that you'll have a deeper understanding of what things you need to pay attention to, and how, like, where you should put your focus in order to be a more successful musician and a human being, basically, and a server of the other human beings. Because when you become an artist, especially in music, we are not doing it for ourselves. We are basically doing it to make the world a better place. Musicians, even though it's not talked about a lot, musicians have this responsibility. Artists basically have this responsibility to show people what they can't really see. So we have feelings, we have understandings of truth that is behind this life, and through our art, we need to bring that to the visions of people and basically present that, so the whole world become a better place for us to live. So congratulations, first of all, for choosing to be a musician, for choosing to be an artist, and high five to you and kudos for that. But at the same time, know that the responsibility is also high if you want to be a full musician, like fully professional musician. We have a lot of things to take care of. All right, let's get into it. So developing musicianship, becoming a good musician. So for the people who are here, I was going to ask you, what do you think a good musician is? So that would give me a better understanding of where we are standing as a group here, so I can give you, like, make my presentation based on that. But if it's okay for you, turn on your cameras or turn on your audio and just let me know what is a good musician? Who is a good musician? What makes a musician a good musician? And if you don't want to share, that's okay too. In the next slides, you will share what's good or bad if you don't.
Probably a person with knowledge in music, attract audience.
Okay. Well, a good musician is not only just a person who can play good music, but the first thing that we always look at is a musician has to be able to play good music. So technical skills are necessary for a musician to be a good musician. If somebody has all of the other aspects, but they can't really play their instrument, they're not a good musician. So it's very important to, as of right now, especially when you're in school, to go through all the exercises that are given to you from the classes that you're taking and from the instructor for your private lessons that you're taking, to just like practice as much as you can. I know that you have just entered college and college life, whatever, but if you put the exercises aside, you're not going to have those technical skills after you finish and you get your degree. So it's very important to become so good with your instrument, better than anybody else that you can think of, or have a very high goal to achieve. And that takes a lot of practice. I had a teacher in university when I was going to Santa Cruz that told me, for a musician to really feel one with the instrument, before even like the relationship with the instrument starts, like before you, like, my voice is part of my body, right? Like I can speak with you with no problem, because my voice has become part of me. It's part of me. And for a musician to really be a musician, you have to get to a point that feel like your instrument is part of your body. it's part of your domain. It's your common, like it's, you feel like you're in your territory when you're holding your instrument. It's as if you're like scratching your elbow. That's how you play your instruments. That's how easy it is. And my teacher said if you practice for 6 months, 3 hours every day, that feeling will come. So I I used to practice like 7 hours some days, when I was like a teenager, like before, like to escape from studying in high school probably. But I practiced so much, but I got to that feeling that like when I hold my instrument, it didn't feel like an object. It became part of my body. I want to share with you, if you practice enough, that feeling would start to appear. And maybe some of you already have that feeling that, oh, this feels so good that when I hold my instrument, it feels like I'm actually playing with my body, like it's part of my body. So practice a lot and train your body to do what your mind would imagine. So when we read a piece of music, we're basically getting in touch with the imagination of somebody else's, right? So there is a composer out there that had an imagination of about a piece, about a melody or about a harmony, and they put that on a piece of paper. So when we play that piece of music, we're basically actualizing that imagination of that person. So now you yourself have imagination about what sounds should be created or what melodies should be created. You need to be so good with your playing, with your technical skills, that when an idea comes to your mind, you can immediately implement it with your instrument and make it happen on your instrument. So that could be a very good standard. Like, can you think of a melody that you cannot play, or when you practice, can you make up something else within your within the melody that you're making that it's hard for you to play? And if it is, then you have to train yourself to be able to do what your mind basically wants you to do. Rhythm, pitch, speed, you are basically are familiar with that. You need to be very good at that. And expression is very important in music. I'm gonna go through these. I just realized that we only have 1 hour, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna go through these a little bit quicker because these are things that you need to, you already probably know. So expression is very important, dynamics, phrasing. If I'm going to hire a musician and I basically listen to a piece that they sent to me, these are the things that I'm basically looking at. Expression, dynamics, phrasing, articulation, feeling that they put into the music. And this is something that you, as a musician, need to practice and think about more and more and more. All right, let's go to performance skills. Performance skills as a musician also is very important. And we go through this quickly, and then we go to the parts that has more to do with life. So performance is basically something very important. When you go to a concert, you don't want to only hear the music. You also want to basically get a visual feeling of how the musician is being presented and how they present themselves. So stage presence is very important. And I think from this moment, like from the get-go, it would be a good idea for you to observe musicians on the stage and see what they do. Like, how do they smile? Like, how do they close? How do they like shave or comb their hair, or like the angle, the lighting, everything that makes them look good on stage is important for you to have an idea about. Because if you don't have an idea about what is a good stage presentation, you end up going on a stage and somebody else would dictate to you how to look. Somebody else would put you on a chair and say, here is where you're sitting. Somebody else is going to put a light on the top of your head that would make you look like a devil, and you're not going to look good. But if you have an understanding of what is a good stage presence, like how do I walk on a stage, where do I sit, you can actually influence that. And then you can say, hey, can I move my chair over here because the lighting is right on top of my face and I want to be a little bit behind it, whatever. So you have to have an understanding of what a stage presence is, and then how, like, what do you want to basically be known for? Like, some people don't care. Some people just come on the stage, play, they don't really look good, and they just go, and their music is good and nobody knows them. You know, you hear their music and there are a lot of people in the background and they become background. But there are musicians who are not playing the first violin, for example, or they're not playing the lead guitar, but you still recognize them because of their smile. Like, I went to this concert on Thursday. It was an Egyptian concert with like 5 or 6 people in the band, and the drummer didn't do much, but the way that he presented himself with his smile, with the way that he looked at the audience, he smiled, he connected with the other people on the stage. It was so memorable that I can remember him and not other people. Confidence, all of this stuff is very important. You have to have a lot of confidence on stage. You have to overcome your and anxieties and all of that. You have to have a connection with the audience, and as I said, smiling is very important. Looking at the audience, I've gone to concerts that people just basically look at their notes throughout the concert, and that's the only thing that they do. But you have to have a little bit of recognition of the audience, which is very important. Body language, as I said, walking on the stage, sitting, if you hunch and play, it's different than if you're sitting up straight and playing, smiling with a little bit of a seriousness on your face, or maybe a little bit of a smile, or if facial expression changes based on what piece you're playing. All of these affects the way that people perceive you and basically remember you. Some of the professional manners that you have to have, as I say, is how you walk, how to talk, and connect with others actually completely is important. Let's say you're on a stage and you're praying with other people. How, like at the end of a piece, when people clap for you, do you look at the other people and smile, or do you give them a high five, or do you just go back to the page that you're flipping and you go to the next page? Why am I bringing these things up? They might actually be very like first grade for you to think about it. I walk and I talk and whatever, I have good manners, but you can improve on that. The reason why Yo-Yo Ma, for example, the cello player, is so important is not because he can only play the cello well. It's because the way that he looks, because the way that he smiles, because the way that he talks. So pay attention to those things and make some standards for yourself. Closing is very important. Always make sure to have good closing. Business cards and handshake. So this is something that not a lot of people pay attention to. As I said, I've been in the business for about 30 years or 20 some years, and if I'm hiring somebody, this is something I pay attention to. If somebody gives me a business card, they're going to be having an advantage over somebody who didn't give me a business card. Why? Because they cared about themselves so much to present themselves with a business card and a good handshake. That tells me that they are probably better in time management. They're probably better in, bringing all the notes. They're more responsible, and I can, understand from just the business card and handshake that they are more serious. So it's not everything, but definitely you want to have a little bit of a good business manners, and business card and handshake would be a very important thing to have. Social media content. So as a professional musician that you're becoming, you want to have a social media that presents your brand. So you're creating a brand of who you are. And if you have silly videos or like funny things in your channel or not professional things in your social media, it's not going to make you look good. Nowadays, it has become such that everything that we do online is part of our portfolio. So if I am going to a university, let's say right now, and say, hey, would you hire me to teach a class here? Or would you, I can present this, can you give me the opportunity to like have a workshop, like this workshop, for example. If they go to my social media and see a bunch of like stupid videos, they're not gonna take me, because they're taking a look at me as somebody who is not really professional in their social media. So social media is very important, and I know that sometimes we use our social media for fun or like connecting to friends, but if you want to keep it personal, create a professional for yourself. So even right now, like record your experiences as a music student going through college years and university years. You can say first year in college and then start playing your violin and put a recording there. Second year in college. So that shows, the world that you cared so much to record it and share it with the world. And if I'm going to hire you in a couple years, I'm going to go to your social media and take a look at your videos and say, hey, this person has been practicing for this much and this person has gotten much better, so they're probably growing, and they cared so much to create a professional portfolio for themselves or social media for themselves. So that's very important. I have been taking it not so serious at the beginning of my career, especially with Facebook. Instagram didn't exist that time. And then I applied for I had an idea for a CD to create with a band, and I went to a recording company, and what they asked me was, show us how much followers you have in social media and like what you have done. And I had nothing. Like everything on my social media was like this thing and that thing. It was just like unrelated to my professional music career, and I unfortunately lost that opportunity. So I think for you right now is very important, because later publishers, people you're going to collaborate with, they're going to look at your social media. We're not going to send a piece of paper as our resume and say, this is who I am. That's important. Obviously, website is also another thing that everybody has to have. Website is as important as a business card. If you have a website, people can search you and you can come up. If you have a website, it makes you more serious, makes you more basically accountable. You cared about yourself enough to have a website. It doesn't cost much, maybe $5 per month. But then if you say I have a website, and when I go to your website, you have about me, you have some of your work, you have some of your pictures, you have some of your music and recordings, then it will give me a very holistic, understanding of who you are, and then also contact me. Maybe a message at the beginning. What is your philosophy about music? It's like your uh, birth certificate or your passport. Basically, it shows who you are, where you're coming from, and it makes you much more important in the world. So make sure you have a website. You don't have to start a website right now, but if you're going to become a professional musician, this is a necessary thing to have. Okay, let's move on to personal and professional development. I'm going to focus on personal development first. So as I said, in this world that we are living, especially in the Bay Area, the level of professionalism has gone up so much because there are so much high-tech companies and there are so much corporations that people have to have this culture of being a professional. So let's say that later there is a occasion happening in Google and they need music, and you think you're a good candidate for that. If you're going to actually get hired by Google, you have to kind of have those you have to be a Google material, or you have to be an Apple material. What that means is that when you meet the person who is going to hire you, you have to basically present to them your personality as somebody who matches their culture. And personal development, in my opinion, is very important because it not only helps us with our professional careers and whatever we do to make money, but it also makes us better parents. It makes us better brothers and sisters. It makes us better children to our parents. It makes us better friends. We need to develop ourselves as a person, and it's a never-ending journey. So personal development, the first thing that comes to my mind is time management. A lot of time we don't have good time management, or people that I have met in the music industry, they don't have good time management. So time management can be how you manage your time for your practicing and going to school and doing your tasks, but it also be how fast you respond to an email, how fast you respond to a text message, or how timely you are with your birthdays, what is it, birthday congratulations to other fellow musicians, for example. So time management is basically you being on time. And you're a musician, so you already know what rhythm is. So if you have to play a beat at a certain time and you're a little bit here before or after, you're not on time. So musicians should actually be very good time managements because we deal with time in our music every day. So time management is also the way that you manage your day. And what I've learned from a lot of business books is that they say time management is basically task management. So if you have a bunch of tasks to do in every given day, if we can organize them in a manner that we can do them all, for example, then that would be good time management. Time management is also how much time you spend on social media and or waste time on social media, and how you manage your sleep, when you go to bed, when you get up. All of these can go under time management, and it's a very broad, basically skill that you can actually keep developing and getting better at. Even people who write time management books, they still think that they're not really good time managers because there's so much involved. Because first you manage the day, then you manage the hour, then you turn it to half an hour, then you turn it to 15 minutes. Then you get to a point that you have to manage your day minute by minute and make it really like precise. I can't really talk more about time management because of our time restriction in this class, in this workshop, but do more research on it. A good book that you can start reading, or audiobook that you can listen to, is called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. He talks about time management, has a lot of good practices in it. The other thing is organization and being organized. A lot of time, what I've seen is that the more creative a person is in whatever art that they do, there is a sloppiness and unorganization that comes with it. A creative mind would like to grab information from different places and mix them up and innovate new ideas. But at the same time, that means that everything has to be at my disposal at the moment. Like in my mind, if I'm composing a piece and you come to this room, all of these instruments are going to be in different places because I'm playing this and I'm putting it aside and I'm playing the other thing, I'm putting it aside. My wires are going to be all over the place. It gets messy when we get creative. But then right after that creation is over with or we're done with our creative process, we need to learn to organize. And this organization is very important because it organizes our brain at the same time. So if our space is organized, our brain is more organized. And to be a very successful musician, somebody who gets to practice 3-4 hours a day and read the books and pass the exams and get good grades and all of that, you need to be organized in your environment, organized with your studying, organized with your practicing, and all of these. And pay attention, have a consciousness about organization. Taking care of yourself. As a student that is in a journey of becoming a professional and get a degree, you need to take care of yourself. One thing that people usually not do is they not take care of themselves by lack of sleep. They don't pay attention to their sleep time, so they usually are sleep deprived. And you see this in college environment a lot, or partying too much or stuff like that. Taking care of yourself by eating good food. And I'm sure a lot of you guys nowadays are paying attention to what goes into your body, because fast food, oily food, they're not really things that would rejuvenate your cells and make you think better. After a shake and a burger, you probably feel like you want to sleep other than you want to like create something or make the world a better place. And that's okay. I mean, every now and then you can have a burger and stuff like that, but paying attention to what you eat and how you take care of yourself, especially with the sleep, eating, exercising. A lot of people just forget to exercise, especially because we have so little time when we're going to school. So make sure you take care of yourself. A professional artist always take care of themselves. If you look at people who have become successful, let's say, I don't know, J Lo, Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, I don't know, anybody who you want to think about, aside from their psychological problem, because a lot of artists do have, like Elvis or Michael Jackson, they had psychological problems, but physically they were fit. They looked very good. They took care of themselves. They ate the best food. They did their exercise. They did their nature walk. They took care of themselves so much. So take care of yourself. And that is also emotional. So take care of your emotional well-being as well. Studying is important. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Subconscious baggages and issues. So we come to this world and we grow to be people who have some situations, like we go through difficulties, traumas as children, and everybody has it. We all have, not all, we shouldn't say all, but most of us experience hardship. We experience bullying, we experience dysfunctional families, we experience setbacks, we experience different things that create some subconscious baggages. And I think as a musician, if you are interested to really become the next Beethoven or Mozart or I don't know, whoever you want to become, you really need to take care of your subconscious mind and psychological issues that might be coming up on the surface every now and then also. That's part of taking care of yourself. I personally had a lot of them, and I definitely can tell you here that music helped me a lot, but I also went to therapy for almost a decade, and I still continue refreshing my therapy every now and then. Every time I feel like something is coming up, I'll make sure to address it. Um, Bottom line is that you have to love yourself, and if there's any obstacle in loving yourself, you need to address it and then take care of those subconscious baggages. They affect your music in the future. Choosing to hang out with the right people. This is also important in the music industry and the artist industry. There are people who are um, modeling from other artists who are not really good role models. So they may end up doing activities or engaged in activities that are not really beneficial. So if you want to be successful, choose the right people to hang out with. Don't let the environment dictate to you who you need to, like whoever is in your environment is the person that I need to be friends with. Choose your friends wisely. And do you guys know how to choose? Like, what are some of the criteria to choose good friends? If I hear from you, I'll go into it. If not, then we'll move on.
Yeah, please do share, Amir. I have a student sitting in the office as well. He's listening. So
Okay, so let me ask you, how do we choose? How do we choose our friends? Like, what are some of the criteria? What do we look at when we are going to choose a friend?
So I'm not sure if it's a fortunate or unfortunate thing, but we look at the appearance of the person. And then we get into a small conversation probably and find, common grounds.
Hmm. Okay, good. So usually, as you said, we first see that person and we look that they're interesting, and we go forward and start talking to them, see if they have some interest, or we just happen to be sitting next to somebody in a class and we just basically become friends. So some of the good things that we can look at and when we want to choose our friends is their character. And their character is the way that they basically operate themselves, like the way that they, as I said, walk, talk, the way that they um, carry themselves. Character is very important because it also involves decision making, like how they make decisions. Do they prefer to go to a party or like before exam or stay home and study, for example? I mean, that's a cliche, but that would be something. Another thing that you can look at is who they are friends with. Like, what crowds do they hang out with? Because they usually say you become like the five people that you hang out with more. So decision making is very important. Character is very important. People that they hang out with, very important. Their interests are very important. So you want to make sure that the person you're hanging out with is a little bit more on the higher standard than you are. Maybe with their time management, with their money management, with their other things like subjects that they study. Like somebody who is interested in poetry probably has a little bit more in-depth understanding of life than somebody who is interested in I don't know, something that is not. I don't want to say it. I don't want to choose something, but you probably know what I can mean. So choosing friends right is important. Also, your gut would tell you if becoming friend with somebody is actually a right thing or not. Sometimes it's interesting to become friends with somebody who is a little bit different than us, but then that can change us to something that we are not. So be careful about that. I want to get to the rest of the slide, so I'm going to move on. Professional development would be something that you need to also pay attention to. Building a career in music, especially in the Bay Area, is not easy. I can tell you that. I don't know if you're a boy or a girl watching this, but if you were going to move out of your parents' house, maybe you're already out there. But if you want to have a big home in the future, if you want to establish a family, be able to buy, I don't know, a car that you like, being able to pay a mortgage, and all of these things, you need to build a career in music. So just becoming a musician is not enough. If you can just play your instrument is not enough. You have to build a career. And building a career is basically that you, first of all, in your mind, decide that I'm a musician. Like I am going to live as a musician for the rest of my life. And then you're going to tell yourself, what does that exactly mean? Like what does it mean? Like let's say um, um, let's choose a musician. Give me a musician. All right.
Josh Groban.
Okay. Let's say Josh. So what does Josh do that makes him different than me? Like what does he do that he is having a career in music? Like what are the things that is involved? Because somebody is familiar is popular and have a manager and a band and all of that, they need to become somebody that believes that music is my career. And basically that is very important. So for me, when I decided that I want music to be my career, I said, okay, to be a musician, this is what I need to do. I need to teach because I'm a professional musician. I have to pass on my knowledge to someone else. I have to perform because it's my responsibility to my society and my community to share what I know with the community. I need to compose because ideas come to me that these ideas might not come to anybody else. I am the only person who is creating and receiving those ideas from the universe, and I need to compose them and I have to get them out. I need to collaborate with other musicians because there are musicians out there that need my help in order for them to grow and in order for us to make the culture of the whole community grow. So I basically made a list of things that I need to be responsible for to make a career. I didn't have a boss because when you get a job, you go to a company, they tell you these are the things that you need to do. This is your job description. This is who you have to become. You're a salesperson from tomorrow, and you have to do these sales. You are a banker, so these are the jobs that you need to do. You are a teacher, these are the things that you need to do. But for as a musician, nobody's gonna tell you what it is. You have to define it for yourself, and everybody's gonna define it differently. I said teacher, composer, whatever. You may say something else. You may say I want to work with artistic children, for example. So that's completely a different path. But you need to define it and then you need to follow it, and that has to become your career, has to become your main thing that you do in order to survive, to make money and serve the community. And what I can tell you from experience is that one stream of income is not going to be enough for you to live in the Bay Area or anywhere else. Good thing about Bay Area is that there's a lot of money. People make a lot of money, so they have a lot of money to spend for music, for example. If you go to a different place, let's say you go to, I don't know, Fresno, for example, there might be less musicians, they might be, I don't know, less expenses that you will have. Housing is less expensive, but there is also less money for people to spend on music. So you make less and you spend less. Here in the Bay Area, there is a lot of money to be spent, so you have to find different niches and different streams of income. As I said, for me, teaching is a big income bringer. Performance is very important. Composing, helping other musicians, studio recordings, uh, helping other people produce their music is very important. And then authoring books and putting pieces out there is also very important for me. And you need to decide the same thing. I mean, if today you tell me I'm a good violin player, that's not enough. I'm a good pianist, that's not enough. What are you gonna do with that pianist? It's as if you have like let's say you have a car. You have a very expensive car. What are you gonna do with that car? Are you going to Uber? Are you going to do shuttle? What, not shuttle, was it like airport passengers moving? Are you going to rent that car? Are you going to use that car for, make it to a, wedding car and rent it to people who are getting married? What are you going to do with that car? What are you going to do with your ability is important, and you have to define it. I think a school doesn't teach you that. They didn't teach me, obviously. But you need to decide what is the career that you're going to do and what are the streams of income. How are you going to use your music to make money? So as I said, some of the different career paths are if you become a performer, educator, composer, and the list can go on, and you can think about it more. So to be successful in music industry professionally, you need to really network and build a professional relationship, and you need to have a lot of people under your in your address book, basically, or on your social media. The more people you know, the more opportunity would present itself. Let's say that you only know me, for example, in this world, and I'm looking for a piano player. Okay, I'm saying, oh, she's here, so let me hire her. But if you know 10,000 other people who might want a piano player, you have 10,000 more opportunities to be hired by other people for performances or other things. Same thing with teachings. If you only know like 20 people in your neighborhood and family, you only have 20, opportunities for students. But if you know 2,000 people and you get connected to so many people, you increase your chances of getting more business. So networking and building a professional network is very important. Marketing and self-promotion. For marketing and self-promotion, I think the best thing that you can do is expanding your social media. And all of us have our phones. That's the only thing that you need in order to have a movie studio, basically, in order to create a very good profile. You can record yourself, you can send stories and reels and share your knowledge with the world. And the bigger your social media is by the time you graduate, I think the more chances you will have for success. Social media has become a really necessary thing for everybody to have. And with your self-promotion, there are a couple of things that you do. You can If you teach music, you can start, sending posts on your social media that, hey, I teach music, stuff like that, which is everybody do. But some of the good things or some of the new methods of self-promotion would be collaboration with other social media people, other artists in social media. So that has not been really explored so much, but I think there's so much potential. If you reach out to somebody who plays this type of music that you like and say, can we do a collaboration? That collaboration can actually become much more viral versus than if you just record a video on your own and send it out there. So collaboration is very important self-promotion. Let's move on to the next point. So utilizing social media, I already talked about it. Creating a professional portfolio and website, we already talked about that too. So let's move on to the next thing. Okay. So a lot of people who graduate high school have no idea about how to manage their money and how to basically think about 40 years, 50 years retirement and all of that. So what I think is necessary for everybody who is going through school is an understanding about money. Because money is, even though we don't talk about it too much or it's taboo to talk about money and money management, it is the most important thing in life. You can, back in the days, they used to say money does not bring happiness, but nowadays it is proven that yes, money does not bring happiness, but being happy without money is very difficult. Like being happy with a little bit of money would be a little bit easier. So money is actually something very important. And I want to propose a question here. What is like, how do we make money? Like where, like what happens that somebody pays me money? Like, what do I give to receive money?
Probably some skills or something to sell, basically.
Something to sell can be some, yeah, some skills. But I'm looking for a specific word. Like, what do you give me to that I give like that I'm happy to pay you money for?
Happiness.
Happiness. So the umbrella would be value. You add value to my life. So every time we add value to somebody else's life, it could be by a product or it could be by a service. I add value to your life. Like, your life is here. I come to your home and paint your house, for example. The level of like your house looks better. I have added value to your house, to yourself, to your life. You're happy to pay me money. You don't know how to play music. You come to me. I add value to you. I increase your value by making you a musician. You pay me money. So every time we basically receive money, it's because of a value that we have added. So money would be a good measure to see how much value we're adding to the world. So people who do not receive a lot of money in this world are probably people who are not really adding a lot of value. So the more value we can add to this world, to the marketplace, the more money we will receive. And we don't need to think about the money part so much if we only put our focus on the value part. So if I only say, okay, how can I increase more value? How can I give more value to the community, for example? And I find out that if I don't know, if I create vitamin water, it would add more value because a lot of people are basically not getting enough vitamins in their daily, you know, eating habits, whatever. If I create that without even thinking about the money, because I'm adding more value, people are going to buy that vitamin water and they're going to make me rich. If I say, how can I serve my community and more value with my music, the same thing is going to happen. You can say, okay, I can serve my community by teaching them. I can give workshops. I can give concerts. I can go to retirement homes and basically, I don't know, play music for them. I can go to schools and teach children how a violin is made, for example, or how to. So think about adding value, and after a while, you become somebody who is known for adding value, and everybody is going after you because they want the value, and they're happy to pay you money for the value that you're adding. But if you only put a dollar sign on our forehead and say that I only do this because they're going to pay me 50 bucks, then we become somebody who is basically just being hired, we become a labor instead of a lover of that job. We become a labor to the music industry, and they pay us $50 for a gig, and we're happy and we go home. But how am I going to add value to that gig? How am I going to increase, the joy of that audience? Whatever. So think about value, and then the money itself will come. But once you receive the money, now you have to have the financial education to manage your money. So you need to know how many different types of accounts are out there. The checking account, the saving account, the money market account, the the IRA account. What is a Roth IRA? How can I have a retirement, basically retirement account? How can I manage my own money? Should I get somebody to manage my money? Should I? So all of these things you need to really educate yourself. Unfortunately, nowadays there's so much information on YouTube, and you're always more than happy to you're more than welcome to reach out to me. One of the other things that I do as another stream of income for myself and another way to add value to the society is that I teach entrepreneurship and money management to children before they graduate from 9 to 17. We have a nonprofit organization that provides that service. So I've been teaching financial education to children a lot, and there's so much that I can share with you. So if anybody from this chat or from this meeting is interested to know more or would like to hear more or attend any of the other classes, we'll be happy to do. So money management is necessary, so educate yourself. Understanding the how much time we have? 10 minutes. Understanding the music industry is very important. Ups and downs of becoming a professional musician. If you're in the rock music, for example, is completely different than if you're in classical music. So you need to understand the politics and the music industry. Um, this is obviously something important. You have to have a contract. Let's say I'm going to hire you tomorrow. Do you have a contract? You probably don't. So you need to have a contract. You need to have an understanding of what a contract is, and you have to have one. You have to know what copyright is. A lot of people just put their music out there, and the wolves who have managers, they find those beautiful music that are made by naive people and make those to really hits, and they make a bunch of money out of it. And people who make those compositions, they don't get anything. So you need to be very cautious about that. You need to have a strategy of finding gigs, audiences, students, and other performance opportunities. I can again go into in depth with this, but you have to have a strategy, and a lot of the strategies that we need to use in order to get gigs or audiences or students goes to how we present ourselves in marketing. So marketing would be how you network and how you present yourself out there in social media. The more people know you, the more opportunity you will have. All right, let's move on because I know that our time is coming up and I want to finish up the lecture. It's hard, final words and conclusion. It's hard to be successful as a musician. There are thousands of musicians that are waiters and waitresses, and they do music in the side and they call themselves musicians. And they are really good musicians, but because they don't have the other stuff, the other necessary important stuff that we talked about, some of it today, they are good musicians, but they are unsuccessful musicians. So it is hard. It's an enjoyable process to be a good musician, and you need to really expand yourself to the point that you can have the whole package. Um, you need to be good at music, as we talked about. You need to be very good at communication, handshake, business card, networking. You need to really be good at having a personal branding, and personal branding goes hand in hand with your social media. You need to know how to use technology, and I can't emphasize on this enough because the more we go on, technology is taking over so much with everything that is happening in the AI and everything that is coming with it. So we need to be really updated with the technology and using the internet, social media. We need to know how to record. I actually met someone who was a phenomenal clarinet player the other week, and I asked him, if I send you a piece of music, would you be able to overdub? And he said no. I'm like, what kind of a musician are you that, like, he was a musician, he was like, I don't know, 50 years old, and he has been in the industry for like 30 years. He didn't know how to record himself and overdub some music on the top of my music. I'm not gonna hire him. I'm not gonna work with him. A lot of other people are not gonna work with him. You need to know how to record yourself. This phone or the computer actually does that. You need to know how to master your music. You need to have a little bit of understanding of psychology. And this psychology part, as I said, is a personal thing for you. You need to know yourself. You need to love yourself to the point that you are clear with yourself. You have to get rid of all those baggages. And the more clear you become, the more inspiration you will receive as a musician. when we have emotional packages, it's difficult to actually receive inspiration from the universe or from God. You need to take care of your emotions. You need to understand your emotions. Usually people say, I am sad or I'm happy, but they're not really sad. They're anxious. They think they're sad. They are depressed. They think they're sad. There are other feelings that we can't really title. And a good musician, a professional musician like, I don't know, Pavarotti, for example, or whoever, they really had control over emotions and they knew exactly what they're feeling at every moment. So emotions and feelings are very important. As we talked about professional mannerism, make sure you have good clothing, make sure you look good, make sure you have a business card, make sure you carry yourself well, have eye contact when you shake somebody hands, press it a little bit. I hate when people just like give you a piece of meat to handshake with. So really good handshake, networking, very important, collaboration with non-profit, collaborations with other people definitely, and non-profit activities. Non-profit activities is actually something that not a lot of people do. As I said, maybe going to a retirement home and play music for old people. It gives you a sense of importance and it also makes them feel so good that it will make you a better musician. And you never know if they have a $10,000 budget every month to spend on that. So you need to go out there and do some non-profit activities and it would open up opportunities. Broad understanding of music from other genres as I listen to every other type of music. Let's go to the last slide. So these are optional things that come to my mind that can make you a better human being and better musician. And you don't have to do them, but if you do, it's probably going to be good for you. So you're going to soul search and be a little bit spiritual. Every good musician that I've seen has some sort of a dimension that relates to spirituality and soul searching and the higher self and the universe. They meditate and they sleep. Sleep is usually not spoken about so much, but sleep is where we actually have dreams, right? So in our dreams we get inspirations, and usually we lose that opportunity because we usually are sleep deprived. So as soon as we go to bed, we just like fall asleep and our body is just restoring itself. But if you sleep enough, dreams will come to you that you have no idea where they come from, and they will tell you things that you will actually get inspired by. Research the divinity of music. This is something that I learned from a very pronounced violin player in New York. And he said that in his free time to make his music better, he looks beyond and he looks to see where music might have come from. Like, because music is not something that human learn from nature. Like painting, for example, is something that we learn from nature. The best paintings are portraits of people, and the reality of that portrait is out there. Mona Lisa existed, and then Leonardo da Vinci basically made the painting. But music does not exist in nature. We didn't learn harmony from nature. We didn't learn creating a melodical pattern from nature. We didn't learn rhythm the way that we play it nowadays from nature. These came to human being as an insight, as a thing that we got inspired about. So maybe it's something divine. If you believe in God, maybe God is giving us music at every moment. Maybe there's an angel that feeds us with music at every moment. So paying attention to that would make you a better music. Another thing that came to my mind when I was creating this was, and I'm gonna close with this, was the fact that sometimes we basically get involved with today's life so much that we forget that we become like music comes from a long history. So studying like Mozart, for example, or Beethoven, or like really putting ourselves in their shoes and see how they lived and how they felt and environment that they lived in. Like Vivaldi, for example, Vivaldi had an orchestra of orphan girls, and this was at the time that it was bad for the girls to play music, but he actually took all these girls under his wings and taught them how to play the violin and made an orchestra out of orphan girls at the time. And they couldn't perform, so they would perform behind a curtain. So like studying this information, going through like what people went through to come up with the piano. Like the piano didn't exist the way that it is. So what did many generation go through to come up with the piano? So we just like sit behind it and play, and we say this so out of tune. Damn you college, tune this piano. What went through for this instrument to be here as a gift for me? This depth, like spreading your roots through the history, through the history of musicians and where music came from would definitely make you a better musician. Thank you very much. I'm gonna stop here because I know we only had 1 hour. If there's any questions from people who are in this chat, I'll be happy to hear, or if there's any comments, I'll be definitely happy to hear, and if I can help, we'll be glad.
Thank you very much, Amir John. I appreciate your time. One question that came from our student is, so they are asking, first of all, is it enough to get a bachelor's degree or they need to go to graduate school? And regarding schools, do you suggest UCs, CSUs, or, state university?
That's a very good question. Thank you so much for paying attention to those things. Being honest with you, I have I've seen people who come from not really good schools and they're very successful musicians. I've seen musicians who don't even have a university degree and they're very professional and very successful. And then at the same time, I've seen people who go to very good schools and they're very successful. And I've seen people who go to very Juilliard schools and they're very unsuccessful. Why are they unsuccessful and why they're successful is not because what the school teaches them. School is not going to teach you how to um, time manage. School is not going to teach you how to become a more professional person by the way that you do your handshake or create a business card. School is not going to teach you how to conduct your profile and make a good Instagram profile. It's everything else that you pay attention to. School is very important. I think UC schools are very good. All these schools that are having music programs, I think, are good schools to go to. I'm not really qualified. Maybe your counselor can tell you better. I'm not really qualified to tell you the school, but I'm here to tell you that a school is going to give you maybe about 50% of the information that you need in order to be a professional, successful musician. The other 50%, the money management part, the self-management, networking, you need to just like dig in yourself and do search on your own and basically develop yourself the skills and become a better person. And by that, you become a better musician as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, the participants, if you have any other question, please use chat. You can private chat me or post it here. Otherwise, we're not going to take up too much of Amir John time. Thank you very much.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciative. You didn't just give us information about, music. It was basically, I have a STEM student sitting here in the office and he's listening and he's just, shaking his head and, learning. And thank you so much. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, if you had any questions or comments, I will be happy to help another fellow musician. My website is my name, Amir, School of Music. You can go there, email me, and or my phone number. Let me just put that back on the screen if you don't mind, so people can take a look at. Is that okay?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Give me a second.
Yeah, students are asking how to get the recording. So after this meeting is done, I'm going to post this recording on YouTube. So you get access to the link and I'm going to share that link with everybody who registered for this event.
Yeah,
Thank you,
fabulous.
John.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome. Absolutely. Take care, guys. Best of luck. You're gonna have a lot of fun and be in touch with me, and we'll know what's gonna happen. Thank you so much.